Right now. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, thanks for
Nice,
having me.
yeah, nice to catch up with you again. How's life?
Oh, things are busy, busy, but it is all good.
I like it. I got to tell you, I know we're supposed to kind of keep ourselves separate here as a journalist, but I love the album. I listened to it like my son and I drove around and
Wow,
couldn't get it out of the CD chamber, so it's wonderful.
thank you. I appreciate that.
So it really does feel like on this project you kind of like there was this big murmuring during COVID where people were going to have time to be at home. It was going to get the creative juices flowing. It was going to be able to tap into things that maybe were forgotten. The
Uh-huh.
ultimate melding of conscious and subconscious, that whole thing. Seems as though a lot of things that were speculated came out in this album for you. Do you feel like there was aspects of that were a part of that?
Well, I mean, to be honest, this music all kind of came to fruition last year, so post COVID. But perhaps there was a buildup of creative energy, just ready to let loose. I mean, during COVID, what I ended up doing was writing these little etudes for piano, which is actually very unusual for me to write in that way. And that was very freeing and very different. And I feel like that's kind of what people were doing, just trying something that's sort of out of left field. Um,
Yeah.
but, I wasn't able to get together with my bandmates, and I wasn't feeling especially inspired to write music for a band because without having an outlet to play or something to look forward to, I don't know, you can kind of lose your momentum. But so yeah, maybe after things opened up, I was like, all right, let's go. And I just had
Yeah.
all the music ready. Mm-hmm.
So, in your words, for people that follow you and have listened to you throughout the years, how would you describe this album as different?
Oh,
How does this stand out?
yeah, this is a pretty different project. I mean, certainly the focus on vintage instruments is new for me, and the focus on keyboards, which is literally why I called it keyboards, because that's a magical world.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I wanted to kind of reintroduce myself as really this multi-keyboardist instead of just the acoustic piano. I had started adding colors back on my Trio K2 album, but it still felt like they were kind of extra, like, it wasn't the focus. But now I feel like I just love all these sounds, and I wanted it to be more, equal parts. Acoustic piano, Rhodes, organ, like everything kind of is equal. Um, but also I just love the music from the 70s. I mean, I think that's my favorite era of music, and especially like the jazz, funk, instrumental stuff, like the band stuff. With Richard T. That's
Yeah.
huge influence for me, and I just love that sound. And I started messing around with that kind of stuff, the groovy kind of rhythmic stuff.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to go all in on an album for that.
So, have you played any of this live? Have you been playing live lately?
Well, so we're about to kick off a bunch of live shows, actually starting next Friday, and we did a bit of playing. So yeah, I think the first, gosh, I can't remember now what month it was, but we did do our first live show of this music, and then we did a couple others, and then we kind of took a break, and now we're going to kick off a bunch of shows heading all the way into the Monterey Jazz Fest. So
Right on. How
yeah.
does the crowd feel? Does it feel different?
um I don't know if I can really tell that yet. I mean, I feel like I've seen some of the, some fans that I've seen, but I mean, certainly we are getting new people
Yeah.
that have, they're not just like the same kind of group of fans. It's definitely a bigger audience, new audience. So that's exciting.
So, the one thing that was also talked about during COVID was that musicians were going to pick up production skills. There was going to be all these things that were going to be revelatory and things that were going to hopefully make the community stronger. From your perspective now, as you reemerge and everybody else does, what do you see the community? Do you see the community stronger? How do you see it different now in this post-COVID world?
Um, I feel like I'm seeing it different because in a way I'm seeing it less. And I'm actually actively trying to get out more. I mean, I feel like pre-COVID, we were all going out. I mean, okay, I can only speak for myself, right? But I was certainly going out more often just for fun, to support my friends, to check out a new show. And now I have, well, granted, I do have a 2-year-old now, so it's a very different lifestyle, but
Yeah.
I have to be more judicious about what I'm doing, what gigs I take, what gigs I go to. You know, there's just so many logistics now for going out, whereas before it was kind of freewheeling. Uh, but I do absolutely think that a lot of people made the pivot to the home production, their Logic skills, their Pro Tools skills, Final Cut. Everybody kind of jumped on board, and whether they're continuing to do that now, not everybody maybe continued.
Yeah.
Certainly, Jake and I really went all in on that, and now we're doing a lot of that still. So that's been a big change. Absolutely.
So what are you ultimately hoping the listener gets from this album? I know what I got, but what are you hoping they get?
Oh, just joy, fun. This album is supposed to be fun. Like, it's not supposed to be heady, complex intellectual stuff. This is supposed to be fun. Like, let's get down, let's groove, let's relax, let's party. I mean, I don't know. It's a celebration. So
yeah.
I want it to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I tend to listen to it best when I'm in the car. So driving around and watching the world go by is good.
I love that. That's great.
The Kansas City got baptized in the new Kait album. So the thing about when you speak to journalists about a new project, you've already moved on to the next thing. Right?
Is that always the truth? Yeah. Well, I can't say I've fully moved on. I mean, the thing is, now we're right in the middle of promoting this. The radio campaign has just started. We're just starting our run of shows. So there's a lot of focus still on this album. But what I'm most excited about is having all these shows together as a band, which we're actually performing as a quartet live, even though the record is a trio. I'm very excited for us to get really tight, to introduce a couple of new songs as we go. And then hopefully by the end of the year, we're recording another album as a 4-piece.
Yeah.
But so I absolutely have been writing new music for that, because I can't help myself. I'm just always writing.
Yeah.
And I'm always threatening a Christmas album. It's never happened, but maybe one year I'll finally get that together. I don't know. So there's always stuff I'm thinking about.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, based on loving the 70s and the sound that went into this, if you could go back and catch a band live from that era and see it happen firsthand, where are you going? What are you going to see?
I mean, I definitely would like to see Richard T in action. So that would be the band stuff. But, I love that whole era of Herbie, like Thrust. I mean, that would be amazing to see the interaction of those groups. I mean, it just, wow. I just love how it just slowly propels itself forward. The songs are, the whole thing is just a groove that just grows.
Yeah.
And to witness that live would be incredible. But I mean, also, just singing some of the singer-songwriters, and I mean, that would be amazing too.
Yeah.
It would be amazing. I mean, God, that era, it was so good.
Oh, it was. It certainly was. So I know this is all on all the streaming platforms. I have it on, Apple, and it's out there everywhere. But if somebody really wants to support you and pick it up or come see you live as you kick off this tour, where do they go to find all this out?
So I have everything on my website. I do have, a calendar. We're playing a lot of LA shows to start at the famous Baked Potato Club. We have a little residency. We're going to go to Palm Springs. Let's see where else. Ventura, Pismo Beach, Oakland, like a bunch of California stuff. That's another goal of mine, is to start pushing us further out of state. And hopefully Kansas City's on our list. So, Liberty's not too far.
Yeah.
That's, definitely, again, it's just having a small child in the mix does complicate things, but it is on the radar. But in terms of support, I mean, there are so many ways you can buy this music, but I have a special thing on my website where you can actually get a signed copy of the CD or the vinyl, and that's kind of just a special offering there that you can't get, because I started selling merch through Bandware, so they're handling all of my inventory except for the signed stuff, which is very special, very personal. So that's the place to go if you really want the special touch.
Right on. Well, again, Kait, I love this album. I'm so glad that I got to catch back up with you. It's been quite a while. I think our first interview was way before we thought the world was going to come to an end.
Oh, yes, I know. It has been many years, but I'm very glad that we connected again.
Absolutely.